The shuttle shook as it passed through the docking bay shields. Una Park held tight to her seat and watched through the small window. Orbital Station Kepler 7 grew larger and larger until it filled her entire view. The station was huge. It was bigger than any city she had ever seen on Earth. Lights blinked across its surface, like stars that had been caught and placed in neat rows. She was really here. After 3 years of training, 2 rounds of testing, and 1 very long interview with the Galactic Military Council, she had made it. She was one of only 3 humans ever allowed into the elite marksmanship program at the galaxy's best military academy. The shuttle landed with a soft bump. Una grabbed her bag and walked toward the exit. Her heart was beating fast. She tried to look calm, but her hands were shaking a little. The doors opened, and she stepped into a wide hallway filled with beings she had only seen in pictures before. A group of Villani walked past her. They were tall and thin, with skin the color of pale silver and 4 arms that moved with perfect grace. Their eyes were large and tilted, and they looked at her with something like curiosity. Behind them came 2 Durrani. These were the opposite of the Villani. They were short but incredibly wide, with thick arms and legs like tree trunks. Their skin was rough and gray, like stone. One of them looked at Una and snorted. She was not sure if that was a greeting or an insult. A clicking sound made her turn around. A Kreth was standing very close to her. It had a body like a large insect, with 6 legs and 2 arms that ended in sharp claws. Its head was covered in compound eyes that seemed to look in every direction at once. "Human," the Kreth said. Its voice was strange, like many small sounds put together. "You are very small." "Thank you," Una said. She was not sure what else to say. The Kreth made a clicking sound that might have been laughter, then walked away on its 6 legs. Una found her room after asking for directions 3 times. Her roommate was already there. Hannah Kim looked up from her computer screen and smiled wide. "You made it," Hannah said. She jumped up and hugged Una. "I was worried your shuttle would be late." "It almost was," Una said. "There was traffic near the Mars gate." Hannah laughed. "Traffic in space. Humans really did bring all our problems with us to the stars." The 2 women had met during the selection process on Earth. Anna was in the engineering program. Not marksmanship, but they had become friends quickly. It was nice to have another human nearby. There were not many of them here. The next morning, Una reported to the firing range for her first day of training. The room was enormous. It stretched so far that she could not see the end of it. Targets floated in the air at different distances, some close, some very far away. The walls were covered in screens that showed scores and rankings. About 20 cadets were already there. Most of them were Villani, but she saw some Kreth and a few Durrani as well. They all turned to look at her when she walked in. A Villani in a dark uniform stepped forward. He was older than the others, with lines on his silver face and medals on his chest. "I am Instructor Tovin," he said. His voice was cold and flat. "You must be the human." "Yes, sir," Una said. "Lieutenant Una Park, reporting for duty." "We shall see about the lieutenant part," Tovin said. "Take your position at Station 7. Una walked to her station. She could feel everyone watching her. A Kreth cadet at the next station clicked his mandibles. "I am Chix," he said. "I have never seen a human shoot before. This should be interesting." "I hope so," Una said. Tovin's voice rang out across the range. First exercise. Standard targets. Cadets, prepare your weapons. Una picked up the plasma pistol from her station. It was heavier than the one she had trained with on Earth, but not by much. She checked the power cell and the safety, then took her position. She spread her feet to shoulder width. She bent her knees slightly. Then she brought the pistol up and wrapped both hands around the grip. Her right hand held the weapon while her left hand cupped underneath, supporting and steadying it. It was the same grip her instructors had taught her on Earth, the same grip her grandmother had taught her father, and her father had taught her. The range went quiet. Then the laughter started. It began with chicks. A rapid clicking that sounded like stones falling on metal. Then the Villani joined in, their laughter high and musical. Even the Durrani made deep rumbling sounds in their chests. Yuna's face grew hot. She did not lower her weapon. Instructor Tovan walked over to her station. He looked at her hands wrapped around the pistol, and his silver face showed what looked like disgust. "Cadet Park," he said, "why you choke the weapon like a frightened child? Is this how humans are taught to shoot?" "Yes, sir," Yuna said. Her voice was steady even though her heart was pounding. "This is the standard Earth grip." "Standard," Chicks clicked from his station. "Is that what they call it? I thought humans just had weak arms. They need both hands to hold a simple pistol." More laughter. Yuna felt her eyes sting, but she did not cry. She would not cry. "Perhaps," Tovan said, "you should watch how real marksmen shoot." He nodded to a Villani cadet, who stepped forward. The Villani held his pistol with just one hand. His arm was perfectly still, like it was made of metal instead of flesh. He fired 3 shots in quick succession. All 3 hit the center of the target. The cadets cheered. "That," Tovan said, looking at Yuna, "is how it is done. Try to learn something while you are here, human." He walked away. The other cadets returned to their stations, still making sounds of amusement. Yuna stood alone at Station 7, her weapon still in her 2-handed grip. She thought of her grandmother, sitting on the porch of their house in Bizen, cleaning an old rifle that had belonged to her own father. "People will laugh at you," her grandmother had said. "Let them. Then let your work speak for you." Yuna took a breath. She aimed at her target. She fired. The shot hit the center. Not as perfectly as the Villani, but close. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. But Yuna did. And that was enough. For now. The weeks passed slowly for Yuna. Every day was the same. She would wake up early, go to the range, and practice. And every day, the other cadets would laugh at her grip. They called it the baby hold or the scared human style. Some of them did not even bother to learn her name. They just called her 2 Hands. She tried not to let it hurt her, but it did. The Villani were the worst. They moved like dancers, their 4 arms flowing through the air as they shot. They could hold a weapon in one hand and drink tea with another, while writing notes with a third. Their bodies were made for a world with gravity so light that they could jump 3 times their own height without effort. The Krath were fast. Their compound eyes could track dozens of targets at once. They shot in quick bursts, their claws clicking on the triggers faster than Yuna could blink. Their homeworld had gravity even lighter than the Villani world. Some Krath could fly short distances just by jumping and spreading their wings. The Durrani were strong. Their huge bodies came from a world with heavy metals and thick air. They held their weapons in single massive fists, and the recoil that would break a human arm barely made them twitch. But even their world had less gravity than Earth. Yuna learned these things by reading late at night in her room. She wanted to understand why she was so different, why her way of shooting seemed so strange to everyone else. One night, Hana came back from the engineering lab and found Yuna sitting on her bed with a computer pad in her lap. The room was dark, except for the glow of the screen. "You are still awake," Hana said. "It is almost midnight." "I know," Yuna said. "I was reading." Hana sat down next to her and looked at the screen. It showed a chart of different planets and their gravity levels. Earth was marked with a bright red dot. "What is this?" Hana asked. "Gravity," Yuna said. "I was trying to understand something." "Understand what?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Why they laugh at my grip." Hannah's face became sad. They are still doing that? I thought it would stop by now. It has not stopped. It has gotten worse. Today, Instructor Tovin told me that if I do not improve my technique, I will be removed from the program. That is not fair, Hannah said. You hit your targets. Your scores are not bad. They are not good either, Yuna said. I am ranked last in the class. And Tovin thinks my grip is the problem. He wants me to shoot with one hand like the Villani. But you cannot do that, Hannah said. Your arm would shake too much. I know, Yuna said. She looked at the chart on her screen. But I think I finally understand why. She pointed to the numbers next to each planet. Look at this. The Villani homeworld has gravity of 0, 4G. The Kreth world is 0, 3G. Even the Durrani, who are so big and strong, come from a world with only 0, 7G. And Earth? Hannah asked. Earth is 10G, Yuna said. We have the heaviest gravity of any world with intelligent life. By a lot? Hannah looked at the numbers. Her eyes grew wide. I never thought about it like that. Neither did I, Yuna said. Until now. Think about it, Hannah. Every moment of every day, Earth is pulling us down. When we walk, when we run, when we sit, when we sleep. The planet never stops trying to drag us to the ground. So our bodies adapted, Hannah said slowly. We got stronger to fight the gravity. Yes, but not just stronger, Yuna said. We learned to use both hands together, to spread the weight, to support ourselves. When a human picks up something heavy, we do not use one hand. We use two. When we climb, we use two. When we fight, we use two. She held up her hands and put them together like she was holding a weapon. This grip that everyone laughs at? It is not weakness. It is 10,000 years of our ancestors learning how to survive on a world that never gave them a break. We shoot with two hands because our planet taught us that you need all the support you can get. Hannah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, the other species do not understand this. No, Yuna said. They do not. They grew up on light worlds. Worlds where you can hold a weapon with one hand and your arm stays perfectly still. They never had to fight gravity the way we do. But that is not fair, Hannah said. They are judging you by their standards. Of course they are, Yuna said. They do not know any other way. To them, using two hands looks weak because they do not need to do it. They have never felt what it is like to live on Earth. Hannah looked at her friend. What are you going to do? Yuna thought about this question. She thought about Instructor Tovin telling her to change her grip. She thought about the Villani shooting with one hand like it was the easiest thing in the world. She thought about her grandmother in Bizan, who had taught her father to shoot, who had taught Yuna to shoot. I am going to keep shooting my way, Yuna said. But Tovin said he would remove you from the program. Then he will remove me, Yuna said. But I will not pretend to be something I am not. I am from Earth. I shoot like someone from Earth. If that is not good enough for them, then maybe they need to learn something about where I come from. Hannah smiled. You sound like your grandmother. She was a smart woman, Yuna said. She used to say that the hardest wood comes from the trees that grow in the strongest wind. Earth is our wind. It made us who we are. The next morning, Yuna went to the range as usual. The other cadets laughed as usual. Instructor Tovin frowned at her grip as usual, but something was different now. Yuna was not ashamed anymore. She was not embarrassed. She understood something that none of them did. She was not shooting wrong. She was shooting like an Earthborn dot, and someday she would show them what that meant. The announcement came on a cold morning in the third month of training. All the cadets gathered in the main hall as Instructor Tovin stood on the stage with the other officers behind him. The Galactic Marksmanship Trials will begin in 4 weeks. Tovin said. His voice echoed through the hall. This is the most important competition in the galaxy. The best shooters from every species will compete. The winners bring honor to their worlds. The losers bring shame. Yuna stood at the back of the crowd with Hana beside her. She felt her heart beat faster. 12 cadets from this academy have qualified for the trials, Tovin continued. When I call your name, step forward. He began reading names. Valani names, one after another. Then 2 Kreth. Then 3 Durrani. 11 names in total. Yuna waited. She did not expect to hear her name. She was ranked last in the class. Why would they choose her? And finally, Tovin said. He paused. His silver face showed no emotion. Yuna Park, human. The hall went silent. Then the whispers started. Yuna could not hear the words, but she knew what they were saying. Why her? She is the worst. She cannot even hold a weapon properly. Hana grabbed her arm. You made it, she whispered. Yuna, you qualified. Yuna walked forward on legs that felt like they were made of water. She stood with the other 11 cadets on the stage. She was the smallest one there by far. The Durrani next to her was 3 times her size. The Valani on her other side looked down at her with cold silver eyes. These 12 will represent our academy, Tovin said. Train hard. Do not embarrass us. He looked directly at Yuna when he said the last part. After the assembly, Yuna went to the observation deck to be alone. She needed to think. She stared out at the stars through the huge window, her mind racing. She heard footsteps behind her. When she turned, she saw Rin standing there. He was a Valani, the best shooter in the academy, Tovin's favorite student. He had won every competition for the past 2 years. Human, Rin said. His voice was not mean, but it was not friendly either. I wanted to speak with you. About what? Yuna asked. Rin walked closer until he was standing beside her at the window. He was very tall. The top of Yuna's head barely reached his shoulder. You should not compete in the trials, Rin said. Yuna felt anger rise in her chest. Why? Because I am human? Because you will lose, Rin said simply. You are ranked last. Your technique is strange. You will come in 12th place, and that shame will follow you for the rest of your life. Maybe I do not care about shame, Yuna said. Rin tilted his head. This was a Valani gesture that meant confusion. Everyone cares about shame. Not the way you think, Yuna said. Where I come from, the only real shame is giving up before you try. Rin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, your grip. The way you hold the weapon with both hands. I have studied it. It is inefficient. It limits your movement. It slows your aim. It keeps my shot steady, Yuna said. A still arm would keep your shots more steady. My arm cannot be still the way yours can, Yuna said. My body is different. My world is different. Rin made a sound that might have been a sigh. This is what I do not understand about humans. You know you are weaker. You know your bodies are not made for this. But you keep trying anyway. Yes, Yuna said. We do. Why? Yuna thought about how to answer this question. She looked out at the stars for a long moment. On Earth, she said, we have a saying. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Rin blinked his large silver eyes. That does not make mathematical sense. It is not about math, Yuna said. It means that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you get back up one more time. You keep fighting. You never quit. Even when you know you will lose. Especially when you know you will lose, Yuna said. Because sometimes you are wrong about losing. And sometimes, even if you do lose, you learn something important. And sometimes, the people who said you would lose learn something too. Rin was quiet for a long time. His forearms were folded across his chest in a way that Yuna had learned meant deep thinking. "On my world," he said finally, "falling is not a big problem. Our gravity is light. When we fall, we float down gently. It does not hurt." "On my world," Yuna said, "falling hurts. Every time. But we still get up." Rin looked at her with something new in his eyes. Not respect, not yet. But maybe the beginning of understanding. "I still think you should withdraw," he said. "But I think I understand now why you will not." "No," Yuna said. "You do not understand. Not yet. But maybe after the trials, you will." She turned and walked away, leaving Rin alone at the window with the stars. That night, Yuna trained harder than ever before. She shot until her arms ached. She shot until her eyes burned. She shot until Hana came and made her stop. "You will hurt yourself," Hana said. "I need to be ready," Yuna said. "Ready for what? To prove them wrong?" Yuna shook her head. "No, ready to show them something they have never seen before. Ready to show them how Earth fights." Hana smiled. "Then rest tonight. You cannot fight anyone if you are too tired to stand." Yuna laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in weeks. "Okay," she said. "But tomorrow I start again." "I know," Hana said. "That is what I like about you. You never stop. 4 weeks until the trials. 4 weeks to prepare. 4 weeks to show the galaxy that being from Earth was not a weakness, that it was a strength they had never imagined." The day of the trials arrived with bright lights and loud crowds. The arena was the biggest Yuna had ever seen. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy filled the seats. Screens floated in the air showing the faces of the 12 competitors. Yuna looked at her own face on the screen. She looked small, scared, but she did not feel scared. Not anymore. The first challenge was standard shooting. Targets appeared at different distances, and the competitors had to hit as many as possible in 60 seconds. Yuna watched as the Vellani cadets went first. Their single-handed grips were perfect. Their shots were fast and accurate. Rin scored 97 out of 100. The crowd cheered. When Yuna's turn came, she walked to her position. She heard some beings in the crowd laughing. Others were pointing at her. She was the only human. The smallest competitor. The one with the strange grip. She raised her weapon with both hands. More laughter. The targets appeared. Yuna fired. She hit 81 out of 100. Not bad. Not great. But not last place either. The second challenge was moving targets. Yuna scored better here. Her two-handed grip let her track the target smoothly, sweeping her weapon from side to side. She moved up to 9th place. The third challenge was shooting while moving. The competitors had to run through a course and hit targets along the way. This was harder for Yuna. Her human body was not as fast as the others. But she was steady. Her shots were accurate. She stayed in 9th place. After 3 challenges, Rin was in 1st place. 2 other Vellani were in 2nd and 3rd. Yuna was 9th out of 12. Better than anyone expected. But still far from the top dot. Then the announcer's voice echoed through the arena. The final challenge will now begin. This challenge will test the competitors in ways they have never been tested before. The gravity will be increased to 12G. The arena went quiet. Yuna felt her heart. Skip 1.2G. That was higher than Earth. Higher than any homeworld. In the competition. She looked at the other competitors. The Vellani were whispering to each other. Their faces showed worry. The Krath were clicking nervously. Even the big Durrani looked uncomfortable, but Yuna smiled. One by one, the competitors entered the high-gravity zone. One by one, they struggled. Rin went first. He was the best shooter in the academy. But as soon as he stepped into the 1.2G zone, everything changed. His graceful Vellani body, made for a world with zero 4G, suddenly felt like it was filled with stones. His arms shook as he raised his weapon. His single-handed grip, so perfect before, now wavered. He fired. He missed the first target. He missed the second. By the time he finished the course, he had hit only half of his targets. His face was pale silver with shock. The crest did worse. Their thin bodies could barely stand in the heavy gravity. One of them fell down and could not get up. Another fired wildly, missing almost everything. The Durrani did better than the others because they were naturally strong. But even they were slow and clumsy. Their huge bodies were heavy in normal gravity. In 2G, they moved like they were walking through thick mud. Then it was Yuna's turn. She stepped into the high-gravity zone. She felt the weight settle onto her shoulders. It was strong. Stronger than Earth, but not by much. She took a breath. Her body knew what to do. 10,000 years of human history had prepared her for this moment. Every human who had ever lived had spent their entire life fighting. Gravity stronger than what most aliens had ever felt. This was home. This was what she was born for. She raised her weapon with both hands. Her grip was solid. Her arms were steady. The two-handed hold that everyone had mocked now made perfect sense. It was designed for exactly this situation. She began to move through the course. Where the others had stumbled, she walked. Where they had crawled, she ran. Her human muscles, built to carry weight that would crush a Vellani, carried her forward without complaint. The targets appeared. She fired. Hit. She moved faster now. Her body remembered all those years on Earth, all those times she had run and jumped, and climbed while the planet tried to pull her down. This gravity was strong, but it was not stronger than she was. Hit. The crowd had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching the small human move through the course like it was nothing. Like the crushing gravity was just air.yun and reached the final section. 3 targets, far away, moving fast. The hardest shot in the competition. She stopped. She planted her feet. She raised her weapon with both hands. She took a breath. She fired 3 times. 3 hits. Dead center. The counter showed her score. 100%. Perfect. No one else had come close. She walked out of the high-gravity zone. Her legs were a little tired. Her arms were a little sore. But she was standing tall. The arena was still silent. Then, slowly, the clapping started. First just a few beings. Then more. Then the whole arena was cheering. Yuna did not smile. Not yet. She looked at the scoreboard. Her performance in the final challenge had been so good that it changed everything. She was no longer in 9th place. She was in 3rd place overall. 3rd place. The highest any human had ever ranked in the history of the galactic marksmanship trials. Rin was standing nearby. His face was still pale. He had dropped from 1st place to 4th because of his poor performance in the high gravity. He looked at Yuna. She looked back at him. Only Earthborn shoot like that, she said quietly. Rin did not answer. But for the first time, there was something in his eyes that looked like respect. The ceremony after the trials was long and fancy. There were speeches and awards and more speeches. Yuna stood on the 3rd place platform and received her medal. It was made of some metal she did not recognize, and it was heavier than it looked. The crowd was still talking about what she had done. She could hear bits of their conversations. Did you see the human? How did she do that? Her grip. Maybe it is not so bad after all. After the ceremony, Instructor Tovan found her in the hallway. His silver face was hard to read, but there was something different in his eyes. Cadet Park, he said. Sir, Yuna replied. Tovan was quiet for a moment. His forearms were folded in the Vellani gesture of respect. Yuna had never seen him do that before. Not for anyone. I owe you an apology, he said. Yuna blinked. She had not expected this. I told you that your technique was wrong, Tovan continued. I tried to make you change. I thought you were shooting like a child because you were weak. I did not understand. It is okay, sir, Yuna said. No, Tovan said firmly. It is not okay. I was your instructor. I should have tried to understand why you shot the way you did. Instead, I just assumed that my way was the only way. That was wrong of me. Yuna did not know what to say, so she just nodded. I have a question, Tovan said. In that high gravity, you moved like it was nothing. The others could barely stand, but you ran. How? Yuna thought about how to answer. Sir, where I come from, the gravity is 1.0 g. Every day of my life, I have been carrying weight that most species never feel. My bones are thick. My muscles are dense. My heart has to pump hard just to move blood through my body. She held up her hands. This grip that you mocked? It was not because I was weak. It was because humans learned a long time ago that two hands are stronger than one. We support each other. We share the weight. That is how we survive. Tovan looked at her for a long time. Then he did something Yuna never expected. He bowed. It was a small bow, but it was real. Thank you, he said, for teaching me. He walked away. Yuna watched him go, her heart full of feelings she could not name. Later that night, all the competitors gathered in the main hall for a final dinner. Yuna sat at a table with Hana, who had come to watch the trials and had cried when Yuna won third place. I am so proud of you, Hana said for the 100th time. Thank you, Yuna said. She was tired but happy. I could not have done it without you. All I did was make you go to sleep sometimes. That helped more than you know. Rin walked over to their table. He stood there for a moment, his forearms at his sides. Then he extended his upper right hand toward Yuna. Hana gasped. That is the highest Villani honor, she whispered. Yuna stood up. She took Rin's hand and shook it. His grip was light, like holding air. Her grip was firm, like holding stone. I think I understand now, Rin said. Understand what? Why the galaxy fears humanity. Yuna shook her head. We are not scary. No, Rin agreed. You are not. But you are something else. Something I do not have a word for in my language. What? Rin thought about it. You do not give up. Even when you should. Even when it would be easier. You keep fighting. You fall 7 times and you stand up 8. Yuna smiled. He remembered. We are stubborn, she said. When you are born on a world that is always trying to pull you down, you learn to push back. You learn that giving up is not an option. You learn that the only way forward is to keep going, no matter what. Rin nodded slowly. I came from a world where falling is easy, where things float, where nothing is heavy. I never had to fight for anything the way you fight for everything. That is not a bad thing, Yuna said. Your world made you graceful and fast and precise. Those are good things. But they do not work in high gravity, Rin said. No, Yuna admitted. They do not. But that is why we need each other. You can do things I cannot do. I can do things you cannot do. Together, we are stronger. Rin was quiet for a moment. Then, he did something that surprised everyone. He sat down at their table. Tell me more about Earth, he said. I want to understand. So Yuna told him. She told him about the heavy gravity and the thick air. She told him about the rain that fell hard and the mountains that took years to climb. She told him about the ocean that could crush ships and the storms that could flatten cities. She told him about her grandmother in Bizen, who had taught her to shoot, who had taught her to never give up. Other beings came to listen. Kreth and Durrani and Villani. They gathered around the table and heard the story of Earth. The story of a world that was always trying to pull its people down. And the story of the people who kept getting back up. Only Earthborn shoot like that, Yuna said at the end. Now you know why. Years later, the Earthborn grip became standard training at every military academy in the galaxy. Instructors taught it to cadets preparing for high-gravity missions. They called it the Park Method, after the small human who had shown them all what it meant to come from a heavy world. And at Kepler 7, a new instructor stood in front of a new class of cadets. Her name was Yuna Park. She was the first human to ever hold the position. Today, she told her students, I am going to teach you something important. I am going to teach you how to fall down and get back up. Because that is what being a warrior really means. She picked up a weapon and wrapped both hands around the grip. The cadets watched closely. None of them laughed. The universe will try to pull you down, she said. Grab hold with both hands. Plant your feet. And refuse to fall. She fired. The shot hit dead center. That, she said, is how Earthborn shoot. And in the back of the room, a young Lilani cadet looked at his own weapon and slowly, carefully, put both hands around the grip, thought it felt right.